Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. I know I tell you this every week, but still, it's a happy Friday because I have a very special guest with me today. No one but our commerce legend, Nathan Bush, knowing as Bushy. Hi,
Hi,
Bushy.
Anna. Great to be here. What a Friday.
It's a very special Friday. Very
Mhm.
special Friday for me because you, my friend, already recorded what, 536 episodes on
Yeah,
Add to Cart.
it's a
So
little
you're the
side
one with the
project that turned
mic.
into 500 episodes.
No, 536. I checked this morning.
I round
So
up and down depending on where we're at.
it's amazing. How long you've had it for?
5 years. Um, yeah, 5 years I worked it out because we don't re-interview guests at the moment. So that's my challenge to myself is not to go back to the same people over and over again. And I've been lucky enough to have you on it, Anna. And I would just hit you up for a new interview every week if I could go back to past guests. But I had to work it out the other day. It's been 5 years, and now I'm considering to go back to some of those guests after 5 years to see what's changed.
And there will be a lot of change.
Mhm.
So I suggest you do that. But welcome to our Spotlight Fridays event. As always, everyone who's joining us live, can you please say hello in comments or drop an emoji so that we know that you are there, and feel free to ask us questions in real time. If we can't get into it now, then we will after this chat for sure. Let's kick it off. So I know you've been very busy. So you changed gas and electricity retailer, and apparently it took you 10 minutes, my friend.
It was
And
one of
just
those.
because I read your newsletter, I know. You ran the masterclass in SEO in the AI era, and I think you had just over 100 people attending that.
Yeah, had about 130 people register for that, which was nice with our friends at Studio Hawk.
You have Add to Cart podcast and Add to Cart campus as well.
Yep. So we've
You you go.
No, I was just gonna. Yeah, it's going really well. That's been our focus for this year. Is how do we turn Add to Cart, which has been a great podcast for 5 years, into a real learning resource and bring people together who just want to learn about e-commerce. So that's been fun this year.
You are incredible. You know, you're absolutely everywhere. I do not know how you get it all done. Honestly, I think it's going to be a separate discussion, and I won't be ashamed to invite you again and do part two and part three. But I don't want to talk about your productivity right here, although it's probably very insightful. I want to drop something that you don't know what's coming, but I'm going to tell you. And I've been thinking about it. You know how I reference Paul Greenberg, not just me, but the entire community, that he's a godfather in retail.
Yes.
You've heard me saying that, and you've heard a lot of people saying that as well. So I came up with a nickname for you.
What have you got?
I have the connector of commerce.
The connector of commerce.
Let me
Yeah.
explain. Let me explain. So you bring people, insights, and ideas together,
Mhm.
especially through both of your communities. You've got an incredible newsletter that you run. You are so giving and you contribute so much that can we just please come up with an official name? And people who are listening right now, can you please just give me your suggestions? Maybe the connector of commerce doesn't resonate, but whatever resonates, just let us know and then we'll come up with an official name.
I appreciate the thought. I feel like that turns me into a Game of Thrones character.
Well, whatever that feels like for you, it doesn't matter because I actually think that you're absolutely brilliant and you are a legend. I look up to you. I love having our conversations. You are incredibly smart and intelligent, and you bring people together in this industry like no one else. So this is a real talent, my friend. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you.
You're very kind. Thank you, Anna. I'm just lucky to do what I do and to be able to have chats with people like yourself who I, hugely respect. So I'm lucky. Like I kind of just look at it going, the connector's great because it just opens up doors to interesting people and interesting conversations.
Yes, but you've been doing this for a long time. And I'll tell you what stood out for me amongst many, many talented people. You're very consistent with it.
Hmm.
And you literally evolve. as you grow all the time, because the bushy last year is a very different bushy and very advanced bushy this year. Like it's literally it's very difficult to keep up with you. Not that I'm trying to, but if I want to know what you're up to, then it's like, I just spent an hour and a half just reading everything yesterday. It's like, seriously, how can you possibly do so much in 1 week? But yeah, so good for
Yeah.
you.
Look, it is a lot. I mean, that's the challenge in itself, right? Is I'm tough on myself, and consistency is my way to make sure that I turn up and keep turning up. But I've got a bit of shiny ball syndrome about me too. I can crack a formula pretty well, but I won't sit on a formula for long, and that's good and bad. Because there's part of me that goes, if you just did that one thing and that's all you did, you'd be fine. But then, and that's why I left corporate life after a while, because I was like, well, I can't sit in meeting rooms for the rest of my life. So I think there's a big part of, yes, that's good to keep evolving and to keep moving and to keep changing, but there's the counterbalance to it as well, is finding something that really works and just executing it consistently.
Yeah. Execution, I think, is an absolute key because everyone knows what to do. Not many people can actually sit their butt in the chair for long enough and concentrate and getting it done very well and double down on what works. So, agree
Yeah.
with you.
Or put systems around it too. Um,
Yes.
because that's been like, it looks like I do a lot, and I do a lot, but I've got an amazing team behind me, like incredible team. And I have the privilege. So when it comes to the podcast, for example, I have the privilege of sitting down and doing my research on my guests, which I really love. And I get to sit down and have a great conversation with them. But after that, a lot of everything that you see, from the blog posts to the social posts to the audio editing to everything like that, is done by my incredible team. And give a big shout out to Val and Gil at the podcast boss agency. They do a lot of the heavy lifting there. So I think that's the thing for me, is I've got to work out what I love and what I'm good at, and then systemize it to get that consistency and that output.
I love this. Everyone else, can you please memorize that? This is incredible. But shout out to your team as well. I've experienced it myself before and after the podcast, and they're incredible. They really know how to ride the wave, and they're very good at it as well in through their comms and the execution. So I've seen them in action, and yes, definitely, they're a massive support for you. But I love what you said, that you identifying what you enjoy doing and potentially that maybe only you could do, and then delegate the parts that you're not good at or you actually can't be bothered doing because it's a waste of your time. I do
Yeah.
exactly the same. I
Yeah.
just delegate. I'm useless in so many things. I may be good at one thing, but then I'm useless in 99 other things. And that's what other people are there to do.
Exactly. And I think like it's, you still get stuck in the weeds, right? Like literally before I jumped on this call, I was editing videos for our boot camp that we have on at the moment, because I haven't got a team behind me for that yet. But I always take the approach of me doing things first and working out how I want it done, and knowing that I can do it, so that when I ask my team to do it, I go, look, I've already done a version of this. This is how I'd like to do it. Can you take this and then do it faster and make it better?
And systemize it.
Mm,
That's how you know.
yeah.
Do you record it for them as well?
Yeah, we use Loom a fair bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good tool.
Amazing.
Mm,
Let's deliver on our promise and talk a little bit about e-commerce and what is really happening in e-commerce right now. You're the right person to ask this question because you know.
yeah, I mean, it's a funny time, isn't it? I think overall, and I've said this to a few people, I think if we didn't have this AI infusion in e-commerce over the last 2 years, I would have got bored of e-commerce by now. I mean, it's been the same for a long time, right? And we get these incremental wins around slightly faster shipping. We've got, it's never been easier to build a website. It's, all these things that we go, yep, cool. We're getting better at what we've always done. But I think AI has just come in and gone, we've got to rethink about how we do everything. And there's so much opportunity because it's fairly accessible to everyone. Everyone's almost on an equal playing field with AI right now in terms of access to tools and the affordability of tools. It's going to change everything, and I don't need to tell your listeners that. But I think it's really invigorated e-commerce, because we're going to see so much change out of it because we're kind of plodding along there for a little bit.
Change and uncertainty, I suppose, because you have skeptics and then you have people that going with it as well. So, and you have people that sitting on the fence. I know there are quite a few. Well, I know personally the retailers that do not embrace AI because against their policy, and they don't allow their employees to use AI either.
Do you find that's mainly at the big end of town, or are you finding it spread across everyone?
No, big end, yeah, enterprise size, because they're trying to figure out between the CIO and CTO what is possible, what is acceptable, what is our privacy policy says about that. So there's a lot of legalities around that too.
What are they most scared of?
Data breach.
Hmm. Hmm.
What gets uploaded onto AI? What type of information? Yes. But this is why what you're talking about, the whole it created a lot of change. It will create a lot of challenge as well. And then the whole thing about will my job be replaced with AI? Too plays the part, and people sometimes they are scared for their jobs and they want to hang on to it. So sometimes they don't want to embrace it. So let's just hire 5 copywriters and then just not give it to AI to do job descriptions or
Let's
create content.
let's
Like what?
create podcast hosts that can be avatars.
Yes. This is a brilliant idea. So, but then for us, it creates for content creators, it just creates another opportunity probably to talk about the basics of AI and implementations and which systems to use. And I think they're all healthy conversations because we are all in it together.
Hmm.
It's only been a couple of years. So no one can just come out now and say, well, I know everything there is to know about it.
No,
No one.
and look, I see a lot of people think AI and dive straight into, "Hey, what tools are you using?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fun." Like, that is the fun part right now, is like you're always discovering new tools and little workarounds that you can have. But we're at this formation stage where everything's going to change so quickly. So you find a tool that you love today, it'll be different in 6 months' time. So there's that challenge, I think, around how much do you invest in certain tools while the waters are still a little bit all over the place and nothing's settled yet. But I think it's important from a business perspective, if you kind of step back and you look at it, not so much the tool set that you can use, but if you're going, okay, AI is coming, there's no denying that. And it's going to be the way that the world works, the business works, that we communicate, that we even have therapy. It's like it's going to infiltrate everything. From a business perspective, you've got two things, right? You've got risks and you've got opportunities. So if you look at that, and even if you take your example that you had before, what's our biggest risk? Is data breach. Okay, cool. But that's always been a risk. We've always had risks of data breaching. How can AI help me stop the risk of a data breach? Because you know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
Yeah.
let's take it back to business and go, where is AI
It's a
going to help me?
different.
Rather than
Yeah,
trying to look at
exactly.
a set of tools and go, I'm going to pick that one, that one, that one.
No, start with the objective, maybe the pain points in mind and what it is that you want to systemize, automate, make it better.
Hmm.
Even with your master class, you mentioned that the SEO in the age of AI, it's not the replacement of AI will not going to create that content for you. You still need to make an input. But so we just need to look at it from a different lens now with AI lens on everything what we do. So
Yeah. And
agreed.
whether you like it or not, your customers are going to change. Like if you think
Well,
about,
they have.
yeah.
They're using ChatGPT to do their shopping. They
Mm.
don't use Google. I spoke to so many people. It's like, Google what? No, ChatGPT sends me all the links.
It was really
Actually,
interesting in that masterclass, actually. Lawrence did a brilliant job of, and he had some real data from the clients that they work with, and they work with some incredible clients, especially in the fashion space. And he gave us some real data around the amount of traffic that they're seeing come through from GPT. And it was significant enough. It wasn't massive compared to what they're still getting through Google and the rest. And most of the retailers listening to you would know this. But the conversion is still really low on GPT traffic. So it's more informational based and research and less transactional. That will flip. That will change at some point as shopping becomes integrated. But I think now, if you don't have a plan or a strategy, knowing that that's coming, like we can all see the writing on the wall, start planning for it.
Thank you. That's exactly what I always talk about it. The writing is on the wall. It's not going to disappear. So start doing something about it now because it will take you a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And we
So you
don't
might as well start.
exactly. We don't need to know what tool we're using to do it. We just know what we would do and what we wouldn't do.
Yes, agree.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the CX, the customer experience trends. What do you think that matters right now?
Oh goodness. I think we're stuck in this value trap at the moment, and I wrote about it today. And we've got this piece, especially where we are right now. So we're post end of financial year sales, which I think was a bit of a tonic for some retailers who are holding out on just something to get them through the year. It's not bad. It's not 2 years ago bad, but I think we're all just plodding along. And end of financial year was a little boost. And now we reach that kind of desert between end of financial year and Black Friday, unless you're kind of big in Father's Day. There's not much going on in between there. So, from a CX perspective, it's how do we excite our customers without
Mm.
giving away a whole bunch of margin in between there? And it's been a narrative over the last 3 years, I'd say, that customers are searching for value. But if you excuse my French, no one knows what the fuck that means. Like, when you're talking about value, it means so many different things to different people. And you've got some really intelligent reports coming out, some great research from some of the smartest firms in the world saying it's all about value. But what does that mean? And every business, the perception of value will be different. So it's really cracking that code. And that's still the thing that I think a lot of retailers are working on. Um, but it's not like, from a CX perspective, it's not like, do this and you'll increase your conversion rate by this much. Do this and your speed of delivery will decrease. And that will be the secret bullet to everything.
Yes, very true. It's very timely. I haven't had a chance to read that newsletter. I saw it coming through this morning. I read your last night's one. I don't know, you're pumping them out of
What did I send
air,
last
these
night?
newsletters. Yes, the gas and electricity. Maybe that was in
Oh,
my
yeah, yeah,
inbox.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that one. Yeah, that stood out for me. It's like, well, 10 minutes. That's not bad. Everyone, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Bushy just changed his gas and electricity retailer, and it only took him 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was
Do ask him.
one of those tasks that I dreaded and put off for so long. And it reminded me of how good we've got it in e-commerce in terms of the levers that we have to pull, because they've just commoditized gas and electricity, because there's essentially a government website now that pulls in all the data and you can just compare on price to find the best retailer for you in your area. And there's literally nothing to compete against, because if you think about those industries, they're all using the same pipes and the same wires to deliver you the same product. We've got such a fun game in e-commerce to play with, that we can play with the product, we can play with how it gets to the door, we can play with the discovery experience. There is so much there, which I think can be overwhelming for many. But compared to being in gas and electricity, I couldn't imagine trying to compete in that market right now.
Well done. You did it well. 10 minutes. I was so impressed. But you know what I did this morning? So I had a call with one of my clients today, and we literally were working out the strategy of what to do in August in preparation for Black Friday and do the whole. I mean, I think personally it's the great timing to go big on acquiring new customers
Mhm.
and then warm them up and add them to your ecosystem before the big event, because to your point, um, nothing massive happens in between. And then for some school holidays, it's going to be a non-event. And if the weather is bad, then it's going to be even worse attractive as well. So what does your marketing calendar looks like? And yeah, so double down on your acquisition. But So there is a lot of tactical approaches to it. But what do you think? What brands should be focusing on to drive growth? What have you seen? What's working in your opinion?
I so are you still talking about this period now or just overall?
Overall?
Yeah, okay. A lot of the fundamentals of e-commerce haven't changed. So I think there's still so much in there around acquisition, making sure that we're acquiring the right kind of customers. Um, I think shipping's a really interesting one at the moment because it's it's actually got a lot better. And the latest state of shipping report, which I read your commentary in as well, Anna, which was fabulous. I think there's a really interesting stat in there that the average parcel takes 1.7 days from the time of pickup to delivery. Yet most retailers are offering 5 to 6 days promises to customers. So if you think about from a customer perspective, if you're going, hey, when will this parcel arrive? And retail's going, probably around 5 or 6 days, when in reality it could probably get there in 2 or 3 once you take dispatch times into consideration. How many customers are you losing in that moment?
Yeah.
So it's obviously a risk there because not every, averages are averages for a reason. Not every delivery will be 1.7 days. Um, but I think there's opportunities in there by being too conservative sometimes, that we need to look at. And one thing that I see with Australian retailers, especially compared to some of the overseas ones, is that we're very, very brand based and very modest, which is a good thing, right? So we're very brand based. So when I was at NRF in Singapore a couple of months ago, I was like fascinated. I was so curious to see how all the other nations in this amazing area that we've got called APAC, where we've got, I think it's 56 countries in there that are all doing e-commerce in their own way. Like we've got this crazy melting pot of different ways of doing e-commerce, which fascinated me. But what stood out to me was that I think in APAC there's this great efficiency around technology, and they do product development really well, but brand is almost secondary. Whereas in Australia, as much as we often talk about, you've got to be brand, brand, brand when we're talking about meta and stuff, we actually do brand pretty well as retailers. Like we put a lot of
Yes.
effort into
I
that.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I think there's sometimes we kind of hide behind brand to kind of go, well, look how pretty we are, look how
Mhm.
aesthetically pleasing it is, but we don't get into the grit of e-commerce and selling hard. I know those 2
Yes.
things sometimes don't go together, and people are like, "Oh, look at Temu. Look at, how much of a cluster that is when you get onto the site. Look at Amazon, it's all over the place." But I reckon they know how to sell.
Mhm.
So sometimes we have to kind of just get a little bit dirty to sell
Yeah,
product.
that's a good one. I agree. This is, yes, you're right. This is just make it more grounded
Mm,
as well, and not being not afraid. Afraid is not the right word for it, but just not steer away from and just sit in fluffy conversations about the brand and the marketing, and then forget that who's going to pay for all this? The
yeah,
customer. And how you package that story, how you do the whole storytelling piece matters.
exactly. And there's a piece. I'm ex-advertising agency, right? So I'm probably the guilty as this of this more than anyone, is that you kind of go, we've got to tell stories, we've got to make people feel immersed in our brand and experience things with us, we've got to create moments. And I literally wrote a newsletter this morning around creating moments, but we are not the center of anyone's world. Like we ask for loyalty, and we would love to have loyalty from our customers, but we're all shoppers as well, and we know that as shoppers we will essentially go to convenience or price, as long as I got the
Or
product we
both.
want. Yeah, or
Yeah.
both. So I think there's a lot in kind of stepping away from that. Sometimes you've got to set the foundation of a great brand, but storytelling, you're not the center of anyone's world.
So true. Yes, but to your point, well, or to my point about you switching to another gas and electricity supplier, it was exactly the same thing. You were with another provider for what, 10 years, and it took you 10 minutes
Yeah,
to change your mind.
yeah. And what got me
And
there was word of mouth. So I was literally talking to a friend, who's like, "Oh, yeah, I've just changed mine over." It was my neighbor. And he's like, "I've just changed mine over. I've got this code for you. If you change, you'll get $100 back each." I'm like, "Was it easy?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, it was so simple. You go to this website and do this." I'm like, "Oh, I thought it was like a call up, convoluted process." So, um, attribution in weird
so you
way.
see, well, exactly. So, but then it worked, everything worked. So you had the referral from a trusted person,
Mm.
you had convenience, and you had competitive pricing. So
Mm.
it ticked all the boxes. Well, here's loyalty for you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And to be fair, the company that I changed to, I'm not loyal to them at all. If their prices go up, I'll go and do the same switch in another 10 minutes. Take 10 minutes to do another switch. That's the game they're in.
Yes, absolutely. And they're not the center of your universe
No,
either.
as long as my lights stay on, I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. And you keep yourself and your family warm.
That's it. That's it.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
What's been your biggest challenge and what did you learn from it? And I know you've had many. You
Mm.
can pick whichever one you like. The latest, 15 years
Um,
ago, 5 seconds ago.
I think my biggest challenge is that I have 1,000 things that I want to do, and I'm naturally curious, and I love what I do, and I love the position I'm in to be able to constantly learn and be a part of things. But I don't have the time to do it all, and also they don't all make a lot of money. So if I'm being 100% honest, things I love
Of
doing,
course.
but they just don't make money. But I know in the long term that they pay off. So from a relationship perspective, I'm a big believer in the principle of you give and you might get later, you might not get later, but that's okay. Like what goes around comes around. There's no tit for tat, but do interesting things with good people. And then I know that some things I throw myself into, I'm like, oh, there's not money in this right now. Um, but there is learning or there's connection. So I think it's just for me to sometimes when I have ideas like that to step back and to go, why am I doing this? Like, what's the outcome here?
Yeah. This is so good. I love that. Out of 1,000 things that you want to do, you're just asking yourself very good questions and then you'll get the answer. Yeah,
Yeah,
you literally have to sit with it. Yeah, I
you have to
agree.
sit with it because I'm naturally an optimistic person. I'm naturally an ideas person. I love new ideas. I love developing new things. I love creating. Uh, and I love Norm's comment and commercial realities often get in the way of our best life, which is so true. But I'm optimistic. So I'll come up with ideas and I go, cool, that's easy to do. I can do that. And then I'll start it. And I'm like, oh, I've just added another plate to this thing that I'm carrying. Um, that's fine. And that's why I went and did the AICD course as well this year, is because I am very naturally skewed that way of
Yes.
opportunity. And
Mhm.
sometimes I have to bring myself back to go, what's the risk or the downside of this? And I think having both those mindsets balancing each other is very healthy. Um, yeah.
Do you know it's a perfect opportunity to let you know how that post about you doing the course impacted and inspired so many people. I cannot tell you the amount of times it was brought up in my
Yeah.
conversations with people, as
Mm,
if I don't read your posts. Obviously, I do. I'm all over it all
yeah.
the time. But it's incredible. You're literally inspired, and I'm so glad that you brought it up because there is that fine line. I'm very much like you, but then we need to have a commercial reality
Mm,
as well
yeah.
on that, because we are very similar, do you create a white space for yourself and allow yourself to just a bit of space to think and contemplate and maybe get bored?
No. And that's not healthy. So I would
I'm
love.
just
No, 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 no.
I'm not
It's
judging
definitely
you.
been on my mind, and I get frustrated. Like I get frustrated when I've got a task list that takes me all day, and I'm bouncing between tasks. That's the game we're in because you're trying to do so much and make impact where you can. I know I need to step away sometimes, not just for new ideas, for the business, but also to kind of turn off when you're around people that you love, to actually have hobbies, to do all that sort of stuff and turn it off sometimes, because that's when the best ideas come.
Do you know I hired a coach to tell me how to rest? I literally paying this person to tell me what does it mean to rest and just to shut your computer. Well, she's negotiating 6 o'clock with me. I think it's a bit pushing it, so we'll just settling on 8 sometimes. Well, maybe 7, but I think we should have a conversation around that because there's a lot of learning in it and
Mm,
a lot of digging into childhood, like you're in the doing, not the being,
mm,
and like everything in between. But I must say that I've implemented a couple of her suggestions. I mean, I am a difficult person to deal with because I'm so set in my ways, and don't tell me like I'm a workaholic. This is what I've been doing all my life. And it's like, well, that's fine. But if you want the next chapter of your life to be a little
mm.
bit more enjoyable and maybe relaxing, not the grind, that maybe you should listen to me. And it's been very helpful. I must say that I'm more productive at the time when I need to be productive. So I can share some ideas with you.
What have you changed?
The okay, so with the time that is given, and I give myself certain time because I can work 24/7, not a problem. I will allocate 6.5 hours to sleep, but then most of the time I'm just going to be on. And I've implemented a few things, and that's no computer time when I'm just creating that white space where I journal or I reflect on things, what went well, what didn't, and where my energy went. So I'm just trying to work around my energetic time clock, not
Mm,
pushing myself through like I normally do, but when I'm most energized, which is the morning time, do certain activities. And then what does it mean for an afternoon time? So all the research and admin get and follow ups. And some calls happen in the afternoon. But then what I do, I give myself the time where by this time I'm going to shut down.
yep.
And it's been incredible because I've been more present with my family and I can actually listen to what they're saying to me without just being somewhere else. So it's been incredibly helpful. But we've done a lot of work because there was a lot of unpacking to do after so many years in corporate and working all the time. But yeah, so this is give yourself the cutoff time because we can keep going forever. But you'll say, if you give yourself 3 hours, you're going to get everything done in 3 hours. If you give yourself 24, this is how you're going to stretch it.
I'm incredibly protective of family time. So even though I work for myself and there's so much we could do, I kind of, unless it's an emergency, don't work on weekends. And I know that's a luxury. But to me, that's my idea of success. Someone asked me the other day, how do you know when you've been successful? I'm like, well, when I can just turn the computer off when I don't need to work. You know what I mean? So it's not
Yeah,
this,
totally.
you don't let the business drive you. And that's, that comes down to that commercial conversation as well. You've got to do things that make money for you in the background, so that you
Absolutely.
do have that control. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, I've got kids that are 9 and 10 at the moment, so this is peak years for me, in terms of being present and prioritizing time for them. So that's the balance. Is that when I do carve time away from work, I want to be as productive as possible, which means that sometimes productivity in your head can mean I've got to tick things off the list and keep ticking, rather than creating that white space at work where it's going, actually, you're still productive if you're reflecting and planning.
I was very proud of you when you had a digital detox during Easter time
Oh, yeah.
because I actually DM'd you because I was worried about you. I'm like, where is Bushy? I don't see him on LinkedIn. Like, is he okay? I was literally concerned
Oh,
about you. And I remember you sent me a message back saying, Anna, it's Easter. I'm actually having time with my family. And I'm like, okay, he's fine. And then
I
you
hope I
said
didn't
something
sound
along
that
the
rude.
lines like, I can allow myself to be off because I've been on for 15 plus years. I never got that comment. It's like, yes, I need to learn from you. This is so good. Okay, last question because we can talk forever. What advice would you give your younger self?
What
I mean,
advice
you're
would I?
very young.
No, I'm
You're
not
very
that
young, but
young.
maybe
I'm not
you're
that young.
younger. I know how old you are, but you're not as old as I am. So let's not talk about age right now. My daughter just turned 31. So, yes.
I think that I haven't had a linear career path at all. And I never intended to be in e-commerce. So I would kind of say always remain curious. And I know that's very generic advice. Um, I hate the advice of know that everything will work out okay because sometimes it won't. I've had a business that failed before this, and it was probably the worst year of my life, shutting that down. So being curious doesn't always lead to the perfect life or the perfect outcome or the perfect career, but it's kept it interesting for me. And I've learned a lot along the way. And being able to embrace the lessons that have come from living those moments of wherever my curiosity has led me has been amazing. And I couldn't imagine this is just me, and I've got no judgment on anyone else because this is the way I want to live. Is that I couldn't imagine doing the same thing for 20 years in the same office. Um, but for me, that comes with risk, and it means that I need to systemize things. I need to make sure that I have processes in place. I have good people around me, and that I get into the detail often. So being curious doesn't mean you like always, chasing the shiny balls. You actually have to be in the detail as well. So lots of lessons that I've learned just by being curious. They haven't always been good or pleasant, but I couldn't imagine going through life any other way.
But isn't it part of life though? Because and it's just so valuable and thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. But I think staying curious, but also be okay when things are not going well, because it's always presents itself with an opportunity or a lesson. And I always look at it as a positive, not a negative.
Yeah,
When I left corporate, as you know, we had this conversation. It's like, I don't know, 16 months ago, probably. And everyone thought that I have a job. I didn't want to have a job. And I said, well, I'll just stay in the flow. And people thought, this is just the fluffiest thing for Anna to say. But I literally didn't know. And you sometimes stay curious to see where it's going to take you. And it's okay.
yeah, yeah. And I
And
think
just be okay.
comes back to backing yourself too, right? And I have this conversation all the time with my wife. Might be oversharing a little bit now. It's like sometimes I look at it and go, I don't know where this is heading. Like, I don't know. And I've got a young family. Like, there's a certain lifestyle that we've got and we want to keep and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, I don't actually know what this looks like in 12 months' time. But she's like, you've done this now for over 10 years. You always find a way, no matter what the business model looks like. Um, you find a way. So I think there's too that internal confidence that you need to have and that self-talk that even if you haven't cracked it right now, that you'll find a way to crack it.
100%. And you need to back yourself up.
Mm. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
agree. Yeah. And everything's figure outable. So
Mm.
if you have that approach, you'll figure everything out.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
been such a pleasure,
Thank you, Anna. It's been
Bushi.
a pleasure. I love
You
it. What a way
are
to spend a
an
Friday lunch.
you are an absolute legend. I love everything about you. I'm your biggest fan, and very happy to support and everything what you do. You're an absolute legend, and we look up to you. And thank you for being you and sharing your knowledge and for all your contribution to our beautiful community. We appreciate you, and I'll speak on everyone's behalf because I know how people feel about you. There is not one person in the entire industry who said anything negative about you. Not one.
That's beautiful.
What is that
Thank you.
collecting negative comments? But you already know that. I just wanted to give you some validation because people will think, well, he knows that. Well, maybe you do, but sometimes when you hear it, it's just different way.
Very
So
kind. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate it.
I'll speak on everyone's behalf. No, we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and enjoy your Friday. Everyone else, I know I went over time unapologetically just because it was worth it. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely will look into part two, and we'll talk about our productivity and white space. I think we should bring it up.
Yep, sounds
Just
good.
saying.
We should also probably talk about e-commerce sometime.
Yeah. No, don't worry about that. I'm not going to talk about the e-commerce. Let everyone else talk about the
That's all
e-commerce. We'll talk about some other stuff.
right.
Thanks
And
everyone
thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thanks, everyone. See
We
ya.
appreciate it.